The rain hammered down on the glass walls of the Harrington Tower like accusations from a storm god, each drop echoing the shatter of Stephen's world. You're a disappointment. Stephen, a failure in every way that matters. His father spat, the words slicing deeper than the cold wind whipping through the open balcony door of their penthouse office overlooking Manhattan's glittering skyline. In that instant, as thunder cracked like a judge's gavel, Stephen Harrington knew his father's empire would bury him alive unless he clawed his way out, starting with the man he loved, hidden in the shadows of his heart. Stephen stumbled back from the mahogany desk, his polished loafers slipping on the marble floor slick with tracked in rain. At 32, he was the spitting image of his father in youth, tall, broad-shouldered, with the same sharp jawline that had graced Forbes covers for decades. But where Richard Harrington's eyes burned with the unyielding fire of conquest, Stephen's held a quiet storm, one forged in secret nights and stolen kisses. The family company, Harrington Industries, a sprawling conglomerate of real estate and tech ventures that had risen from post-war grit to dominate the eastern seaboard, loomed over them like a colossus. Richard had built it brick by brick, deal by deal. And now, on the eve of his 65th birthday, he expected Stephen to kneel and swear fealty. You think hiding who you are makes you strong? Richard's voice thundered, his face flushed crimson under the harsh fluorescent lights. He slammed a fist on the desk, scattering papers, contracts, blueprints, the very blueprints of Stephen's future. I've given you everything, the best schools, the corner office, a name that opens doors from Wall Street to Washington. And for what? So you can parade around with that filth. Stephen's chest tightened, the word filth landing like a punch to the gut. He thought of Alex with his warm laugh and calloused hands from years of bartending in Brooklyn dives. The man who had coaxed Stephen out of the closet 2 years ago in a dimly lit jazz club. Their first kiss tasting of whiskey and possibility. Alex wasn't filth. He was salvation. The one person who saw Stephen beyond the Harrington air, beyond the expectations that chained him tighter than any boardroom tie. But here, in this gilded cage, love was a liability, a crack in the armor Richard had forged around their legacy. I never asked for this, Stephen whispered, his voice barely audible over the storm's roar. Rain lashed the windows, blurring the city lights into a watercolor of regret. He straightened, forcing steel into his spine. The company. The name—it's your prison. Dad. Not mine. Richard's laugh was bitter, devoid of humor, as he rounded the desk. His tailored suit rumpled for the first time Stephen could remember. Prison. This is power. Boy. The kind that builds empires. Not dalliances. He paused, eyes narrowing, the weight of unspoken histories hanging between them. Stephen's mother, gone too soon from cancer, leaving a void filled with board meetings and boarding schools. Richard had raised him alone, or so he claimed, pouring his grief into ledgers and leverage. Sign the succession papers tomorrow, or walk away. But if you do, you're dead to me. The ultimatum hung like smoke from a dying fire. Stephen turned toward the door, the rain's rhythm syncing with his pounding heart. As he gripped the brass handle, a flash of lightning illuminated the family portrait on the wall. 3-year-old Stephen on his father's shoulders, both grinning under a summer sun in the Hamptons. That boy had dreamed of adventures, not audits. Now, at the threshold, Stephen made a silent vow. He would fight for his truth, even if it meant losing everything. Down in the lobby, the doorman nodded as Stephen emerged into the deluge, hailing a cab with a wave that belied the tremor in his hands. The driver, a grizzled veteran named Manny, glanced in the rear view. Rough night, kid. Looks like you wrestled a hurricane. Something like that, Stephen muttered, slumping against the leather seat as the cab merged into the chaotic symphony of Times Square traffic. Neon signs bled into the wet pavement billboards hawking dreams sold in 30-second spots, none quite capturing the ache in his soul. He pulled out his phone, thumb hovering over Alex's name. "Miss you already. Dinner." The message sent before doubt could intervene. Alex's reply buzzed almost instantly. "Always. My place. Bring wine in that smile." Stephen's lips twitched, a spark in the gloom. Alex lived in a walk-up in Williamsburg, a world away from penthouses, where exposed brick walls held stories of resilience rather than revenue. It was there, amid thrift store furniture and half-finished canvases Alex dabbled in urban art, that Stephen felt truly seen. By the time the cab dropped him at the brownstone, the rain had softened to a drizzle, streetlights casting halos on puddles like scattered coins. Alex opened the door in faded jeans and a threadbare tee, his tousled auburn hair damp from his own dash through the weather, green eyes lighting up like fireflies. "Hey, stranger." He pulled Stephen inside, their embrace immediate, bodies fitting like puzzle pieces worn smooth by time. They tumbled onto the worn couch, wine forgotten on the counter, lips meeting in a kiss that tasted of salt and solace. Alex's hands roamed Stephen's back, grounding him, while Stephen buried his face in the crook of Alex's neck, inhaling the faint scent of turpentine and takeout. "Bad day," Alex murmured, fingers threading through Stephen's wet hair. "Worse than bad." The words spilled out, then the confrontation, the ultimatum, the chasm widening between father and son. Alex listened without interruption, his silence a balm, until Stephen trailed off. "Spent. Then fight it," Alex said simply, cupping Stephen's face. "Not for him, for you. For us." His gaze held no judgment, only the fierce love of a man who had lost his own family to small-town bigotry in rural Ohio, rebuilding in the anonymity of the city. At 28, Alex was younger, freer, his Tatusa rainbow phoenix rising from Brooklyn Bridge, cables mapping a journey Stephen envied and adored. That night, as they lay tangled in sheets, the city humming beyond the fire escape, Stephen dreamed of bridges, not the steel spans of Manhattan, but the fragile ones between hearts. He woke to Alex's soft breathing, sunlight filtering through cracked blinds, and a resolve hardening like concrete. He would prove his worth, not as the heir Richard demanded, but as the man he was meant to be. The next morning, Stephen arrived at Harrington Tower early, the lobby's marble expanse echoing his footsteps like judgments. He bypassed the elevators for the stairwell, needing the burn in his legs to match the fire in his veins. On the 32nd floor, his office a Waited corner suite with views of the Hudson, walls lined with awards that felt like shackles. He booted up his computer, diving into the quarterly reports Richard had dismissed as busy work. Harrington Industries was bleeding subtly, but surely, a string of failed acquisitions in the Midwest, whispers of embezzlement from a VP with a gambling habit, and a tech division lagging behind Silicon Valley upstarts. Stephen had flagged these months ago, only to be waved off. Stick to schmoozing donors, Richard had sneered. But now, with the succession papers burning a hole in his briefcase, Stephen saw opportunity in the chaos. He spent the day buried in spreadsheets, cross-referencing ledgers with a ferocity that surprised even him. By noon, patterns emerged: the VP's shell companies, funneled funds vanishing into offshore accounts. It wasn't just incompetence, it was betrayal. Stephen's pulse quickened. This could be his redemption, a way to save the empire his father had poured his life into, without selling his soul. As the sun dipped toward the river, casting golden fractures on the water, Stephen's assistant, Lena, a sharp-witted woman in her 40s with a no-nonsense bob, knocked. "Mr. Harrington, your father's called a board meeting. Emergency." Stephen's stomach dropped. Emergency meant crisis. The kind that toppled titans. He straightened his tie, the silk suddenly too tight, and followed her down the hall. The boardroom was a vault of walnut and leather. Portraits of Harrington patriarchs glowering from the walls. Richard sat at the head, face ashen, flanked by suits who shifted uneasily. "Stephen," Richard barked as he entered. "No preamble. Sit. We've got a problem." The room fell silent as Richard slid a folder across the table. Inside, audit alerts. Frozen assets. A DOJ inquiry letter stamped with yesterday's date. Someone's cooked the books. Millions. If this leaks, we're done. Stephen scanned the pages, his earlier discoveries aligning like dominoes. "It's Hargrove," he said flatly, naming the VP. "I've got proof timestamps. Transfers. We move now. We contain it." Murmurs rippled. Richard's eyes narrowed, suspicion flickering. "You? How? Does it matter?" Stephen met his gaze, unflinching. "What matters is fixing it. Tonight." For the first time, something like respect cracked Richard's facade. The meeting stretched into the witching hour. Strategies hashed. Calls placed to lawyers in D.C. Stephen led, his voice steady, ideas flowing like the Hudson at flood. By dawn, Hargrove was in custody, the leak sealed at least for now. As the board filed out, exhausted but intact, Richard lingered. "You pulled it off." The words were gruff, laced with gravel. Stephen nodded, fatigue etching lines around his eyes. "I always could, Dad, if you'd let me." Richard's hand twitched, as if to clap his shoulder, then fell. "The papers. We'll revisit them." He turned away, but not before Stephen caught the ghost of a smile. Outside, the city stirred to life. Vendors hawking coffee, commuters surging like blood in veins. Stephen texted Alex, "Save the day. Dinner out." The reply, "Proud of you. Love. Your knight in shining jeans." Weeks blurred into a frenzy. The scandal simmered, contained by Stephen's quick maneuvers. But whispers persisted. Richard, true to form, doubled down longer hours. More oversight, as if testing Stephen's mettle with a forge's heat. Yet cracks appeared, a shared glance over blueprints. A grunted good call on a deal. Stephen seized them, nurturing the thaw while stealing evenings with Alex. Their romance deepened in stolen moments, a weekend in the Catskills. Hiking trails where leaves crunched underfoot like brittle secrets. Alex sketched Stephen by a campfire, charcoal smudging his fingers, capturing the vulnerability beneath the executive polish. "You're more than his shadow," Alex whispered one night. Stars wheeling overhead. "You're the light." But light cast shadows. At a gala fundraiser in the Met's Great Hall, chandeliers dripping crystal like frozen tears, Stephen spotted Hargrove's allies circling old money vultures scenting blood. Richard, resplendent in black tie, pulled him aside amid the swirl of gowns and champagne flutes. "Watch your back. They're gunning for us." "Us?" The word landed soft. Unfamiliar. Stephen nodded, scanning the crowd until his eyes locked on a familiar face. Marcus Hale, a rival developer's golden boy. All slick charm and sharper ambition. Marcus had courted Stephen once. In college before Alex. Before clarity whispering promises of power over pillow talk. Now, his smile was a blade. "Stephen Harrington." Marcus purred, materializing with a flute in hand. "Heard you played hero. Daddy must be proud." The barb stung, but Stephen parried. "Pride's earned. Marcus, not inherited." They clinked glasses, the toast hollow. Later, as dancers waltzed to strings, Alex arrived uninvited. but undaunted in a borrowed suit that hugged his frame. His presence a quiet rebellion. He slipped through the throng, hand brushing Stevens in the shadows. "Who's the shark?" "Trouble," Stephen murmured, pulling him closer. Their dance was brief. Defiant sway amid the elite. Alex's head on his shoulder. The world fading to their rhythm. Richard spotted them from across the room, his jaw tightening like a vice. But he didn't intervene. Progress, Stephen thought. Bittersweet. The thaw accelerated. Richard invited Stephen to the Hamptons estate for the first time in Yrsa's sprawling mansion of white clapboard and widow's walks, where waves crashed like unresolved symphonies. Over lobster and vintage Bordeaux. Under a canopy of stars. Richard spoke of the past, the war. His father's suicide after a market crash. The vow to never falter. "I pushed you," he admitted, voice rough as surf. "Because failure. It breaks you. I couldn't watch that." Stephen's throat tightened. "You broke me anyway. Dad. Calling me. What you did." Richard's eyes glistened. Rare vulnerability. Fear. That's all it was. Fear of losing you to a world that chews up men like us. The admission hung, heavy as humidity. Stephen reached across the table, hand covering his father's knotted one. "I'm still here. Gay. Yes. But yours." Tears traced Richard's cheeks. Silent. That night, as cicadas hummed, Stephen called Alex from the guest room. Voice thick. "We're mending. It's possible." Alex's laugh was warm. "Told you. Love wins wars. But victory is fleeting." Back in the city, Marcus struck. Leaked emails fabricated. Damning surfaced, painting Stephen as complicit in Hargrove's scheme. The board convened in emergency. Richard's face thunderous. "Explain," he demanded. Folder thrust forward. Stephen's blood ran cold. The forgeries were clever. Timestamps manipulated. "It's a setup." "Marcus. Proof." A director sneered. The room tilted. Allies evaporating. Richard's gaze bored into him. Doubt flickering. "Stephen. I can fix this." Desperation edged his voice. He stormed out, racing to Alex's studio, where canvases leaned like sentinels. Alex took one look and pulled him into an embrace. "We'll fight. Together." They did nights poring over code. Alex's artist eye spotting digital anomalies. Stephen's networks yielding a whistleblower. By week's end, the truth unraveled. Marcus's hack. His vendetta born of rejected advances years ago. The board reconvened. Exoneration swift. Richard stood, silencing the room. "My son saved us twice. He's the future." In the aftermath, alone in the penthouse, Richard poured scotch, handing a glass to Stephen. "I was wrong. About everything." Stephen clinked, the liquid burning like absolution. "Forgive." "Always." Richard's hand trembled as he retrieved a document from the safe, the succession papers. Pen poised. "Sign with me. It's yours." Stephen hesitated, then scrawled his name beside his father's. The ink dried like a bridge sealed. Months later, under spring cherry blossoms in Central Park, Stephen proposed to Alex on one knee. Ring Glentinga Harrington heirloom resized for new promises. From failure to family. He whispered. Alex's yes was a vow, their kiss blooming amid petals. Richard watched from afar. Smile genuine. The empire's weight shared at last. In acceptance, they found not just legacy, but life. The ink had barely dried on the papers when the real storm hit not rain, but reckoning. Harrington Industries Board, still smarting from the Marcus debacle, demanded reforms, transparency audits. Diversity quotas. A full overhaul of the C-suite. Richard, ever the patriarch, bristled at the intrusion. But Stephen saw the tide turning. It's evolution. Dad. He argued over breakfast in the tower's executive dining room. The Hudson sparkling like a promise below. We adapt or drown. Richard grunted, stabbing at his eggs Benedict. Adapt. We've dominated for generations. Now they want. Feelings in the filings. Stephen chuckled, the sound light despite the undercurrent. At 32, he balanced worlds, mornings in pinstripes, evenings in Alex's arms, where vulnerability was currency, not weakness. Their engagement had leaked to the tabloid's page 6 splash. Harrington Air hooks up with artist hottie, and while Richard hadn't commented publicly, his invitations to Sunday dinners spoke volumes. That weekend, the Hamptons' house thrummed with unaccustomed warmth. Alex arrived with a bottle of Pinot from a Finger Lakes vineyard, his easy charm disarming the staff. Richard greeted him with a firm handshake, no longer the limp fish of avoidance. Heard you're painting the new lobby mural, he said, leading them to the veranda where gulls wheeled over foam-capped waves. Alex nodded, green eyes alight. Urban renewal theme. Bridges. Literally and figuratively. Richard's brow arched, but approval lurked. Over grilled steaks. Conversation flowed cautious at first, then deeper. Alex shared tales of his Ohio youth. The church picnic where his first crush ended in a black eye from a cousin's fist. Taught me to run fast. He joked, but his voice held the echo of pain. Richard listened. Scotch glass paused mid-sip. Running's half the battle. Staying, that's the war. Stephen squeezed Alex's knee under the table, gratitude swelling. As dusk painted the sky violet, Richard pulled Stephen aside by the rose arbor, thorns glinting like warnings. He's good for you. Keeps you human. The compliment landed awkward, profound. He does. And you're trying. Thank you. Richard clapped his shoulder, grip lingering. For your mother. She'd have loved this. The mention pierced. A ghost at the feast. Elena Harrington had died when Stephen was 12. Her laughter fading into chemo drips and hospice hush. Richard had armored up then, building walls higher than any skyscraper. Now, those walls crumbled, brick by brick. Back in the city, the overhaul consumed them. Stephen spearheaded the diversity initiative, recruiting talent from overlooked corners, a queer coder from the Bronx, a trans engineer from Atlanta. Pushback came swift anonymous emails laced with slurs. Board members resigning in principle. One night, after a particularly venomous call, Stephen collapsed onto the couch in his Upper East Side apartment, head in hands. Alex found him there, takeout bags rustling. Hey, warrior. He knelt, thumbs tracing Stephen's temples. World's ugly, but you're beautiful in it. They made love slowly, reclaiming each other amid the chaos, bodies a sanctuary, breaths sinking like metronomes. Afterward, tangled in sheets, Alex traced the engagement ring's band. Wedding date. Before the leaves turn. Stephen smiled, kissing his palm. October. Full moon over the reservoir. But joy is a fragile bloom. 2 weeks later, a courier delivered a manila envelope to the tower, photos of Stephen and Alex in the park. Grainy but unmistakable. Captioned with vitriol, fairy tale ends here. Attached, a demand for $5 million. Or the images flood the wires. Tanking stock and reputation. Blackmail. Stephen's hands shook as he showed Richard in the office. Blinds drawn against the midday glare. Marcus. Richard growled, recognizing the watermark. The rival hadn't slunk away. He'd burrowed deeper. Tentacles in dark web dens. We pay. Stephen's voice cracked. Richard's eyes blazed. Hell no. We end him. The hunt began a digital dragnet. Stephen's tech team tracing IPs through VPN veils. Alex contributed sketches of suspect profiles. His artist's intuition pinpointing lies and metadata. Sleepless nights blurred. Coffee fueling fury. One dawn. Breakthrough, a server in Newark. Marcus's fixer cornered. Confrontation came in a dimly lit warehouse by the docks. Fog rolling off the bay like cigarette smoke. Richard insisted on coming. 38 tucked in his waistband, a relic from younger, rougher days. Stephen protested, but his father's glare brooked no argument. Family stands together. Marcus waited in the gloom, flanked by goons. Smirk oily. Gentlemen. Come for tea. Cut the shit. Richard snarled, stepping forward. Your game's over. Marcus laughed, but fear edged it. Over. With your pretty boy's secrets. The world's not ready for Harrington rainbow flags. Stephen's blood boiled. It's my life, not a bargaining chip. The scuffle erupted, fists flying. Shadows dancing in sodium lights. Stephen took a punch to the ribs. Breath exploding. But Alex's training from bar fights paid off. He dodged, countering with a knee to a thug's gut. Richard, no slouch, disarmed the fixer with a wrestler's takedown. Age no barrier to grit. Sirens wailed distant as Marcus crumpled, pleading. It was business. Business ends now, Stephen said, phone recording every whimper. Cops swarmed, cuffs clicking like finality. In the aftermath, bruised and bandaged in the ER, Richard gripped Stephen's hand. Proud. Damn proud. Tears stung. Love you, Dad. The words bridged oceans. As summer waned, wedding plans bloomed. The ceremony, intimate. Central Park's Bethesda Terrace. Arches framing vows like sonnets. Alex in ivory linen. Stephen in midnight blue. Rings exchanged under a chuppah borrowed from a rabbi friend blending faiths. Futures. Richard walked Stephen down the aisle. Arm linked. Whispers of Elena's favored him on the breeze. She's smiling. He murmured. Guests mingled post-vows, Lena with her wife. The queer coder toasting with flair. Even bored holdouts attended, thawing under champagne's spell. That night, in a suite overlooking the park, Stephen and Alex danced barefoot, laughter bubbling. To empires of the heart. Alex toasted. Stephen pulled him close. And the signatures that set them free. Richard, alone in the Hamptons, pinned a letter sealed with the company crest, mailed to Stephen's new address. Inside, the real legacy isn't steel and stock. It's this. A photo enclosed, young Richard with Elena. Young Stephen in her arms. On the back, build on love. Always. The company thrived under dual helms, Richard advising, Stephen innovating. Alex's murals adorning lobbies worldwide. Scandals faded to footnotes. Acceptance the new cornerstone. Years later, at a gala honoring LGBTQ+ leaders, Stephen spoke, Alex at his side, their adopted daughter toddling on stage in a tiny tux. Failure. Once. Until a signature in a father's heart changed everything. Richard, in the front row, stood. Applause thundering. The circle complete. Yet completion is illusion. Life spirals, demanding constant reinvention. The wedding's afterglow lingered through autumn's palette, crimson maples in the park mirroring Stephen's cheeks as he and Alex navigated newlywed bliss. Mornings started with coffee brewed strong. Alex sketching at the kitchen island while Stephen reviewed emails. Their daughter, Lily, adopted from a Brooklyn agency. Her dark curls a echo of Elena's gurgling in her high chair. Fists sticky with banana. Harrington Industries expanded. Steven's vision infusing green tech, solar arrays on skyscrapers. Apps tracking urban carbon. Richard, semi-retired to a consultancy role, grumbled at hippie metrics, but beamed at quarterly upticks. Your mother's influence, he'd say, winking. But shadows lengthen. Lily's second birthday dawned crisp. Balloons bobbing in the loft's vaulted ceilings. Guests arrived, Alex's artist collective. Lena's family. Even Marcus paroled. Reformed. Invited as olive branch. Laughter echoed. Cake smeared on tiny faces. Then, a call. Richard. Voice ragged. Stroke. Hospital. Now. The party fractured. Joy evaporating like dew. Stephen raced to Mount Sinai. Alex bundling Lily. Tires screeching through crosstown traffic. In the sterile hall. Beeps punctuating dread. Richard lay pale. Monitors a mechanical chorus. Doctors say minor. A nurse assured. But he's asking for you. Stephen entered. Heart hammering. Richard's eyes fluttered open. Grip weak, but insistent. Stephen. The company. Protect it. Not now. Dad. Tears blurred. Rest. Richard shook his head. Labored. No. Listen. I signed it all over. Years ago. After the wedding. It's yours. Truly. Stephen froze. What? Fear held me back. No more. A rasp of laugh. You're the success. Always were. Alex hovered in the doorway. Lily on hip. Witnessing the unburdening. Richard beckoned them closer. Grandpa's girl. He cooed at Lily. Finger tracing her palm. Keep him honest. She babbled. Tiny hand clasping his. In that grip. Generations linked. Recovery was grueling therapy sessions in Central Park. Richard relearning steps with a cane. Stephen at his side. Like old times. Richard joked. Sweat beading as they circled the reservoir. You. Dragging me along. Stephen grinned. Reverse now. Alex captured it in oils, father and son against autumn oaks. Lily toddling between a triptych of healing. But trials test. A hostile takeover loomed Silicon Valley wolves. Eyeing Harrington's patents. Stephen fortified defenses. Nights blurring into code and calls. Alex supported. But strain showed, missed date nights. Lily's bedtime stories read solo. One eve. Argument ignited over takeout cooling on the counter. You're becoming him. Alex accused. Voice sharp. The work. The worry wears us. Stephen recoiled. This is user life. Lily's future. Alex's eyes flashed. No. It's his ghost. Fight for the living. Silence stretched. Accusatory. Stephen stormed to the balcony. City lights mocking. Below. Taxis honked like regrets. Hours later. Alex found him. Blanket draped. I'm scared. Alex admitted. Voice small. Of losing you to it all. Stephen pulled him close. Rain starting soft. Never. You're my anchor. They talked till dawn, boundaries redrawn. Date nights sacred. Lily woke to pancakes. Parents entwined on the couch. Her giggles sealing peace. The takeover bid crumbled under Stephen's strategy alliances forged. Patents shielded. Victory parade, Richard at the board helm. Cane tapping triumph. To the Harringtons. He toasted. Eyes on Stephen and Alex. All of us. Winter blanketed the city in hush. Holiday lights twinkled on the tree in their loft. Lily's first snowman a lopsided wonder in the park. Richard hosted Christmas Eve ham and hymns. Elena's recipes revived. As carols swelled, he pulled Stephen aside by the fire. I called you failure once. Biggest lie I told. Stephen hugged him fierce. Forgiven. Long ago. New Year's. Rooftop party, confetti swirled. Alex's kiss at midnight, tasting of champagne and forever. To more signatures. He whispered. On our story. Stephen laughed. Endless pages. Spring brought renewal. Lily's first words, Dada, split between them. A dual delight. Harrington launched a foundation LGBTQ plus youth scholarships. Named for Elena. Richard cut the ribbon. Voice steady. For the sons we almost lost. Crowd cheered. Stephen's chest swelled. Alex squeezed his hand. Your legacy. Summer solstice. Hampton's beach bonfire. Waves lapped. Stars pricked velvet sky. Lily asleep in a hammock. Richard recounted war yarns. Embellished for her future tellings. Bravery's not medals. He said. It's heart. Stephen nodded. Alex's head on his shoulder. Learned that from you. Fire crackled. Embers rising like prayers. In that glow, failures transmuted to gold. Gold, however, polishes rough edges, revealing flaws beneath. As Lily turned 3, her curiosity bloomed. Why two dadas? Questions at preschool playdates drew stares. Whispers. Stephen and Alex fielded them with stories of love's shapes. But home sheltered deeper doubts. One afternoon, picking her up from daycare in Chelsea, a classmate's parent cornered Stephen. Your lifestyleite's confusing the kids. The word lifestyle slithered. Venomous. Stephen's jaw clenched. Love isn't confusion. Ignorance is. He drove home fuming. Alex waiting with clay handprints drying on the sill. Another bigot. Alex sighed, pulling him into the kitchen. Worse. It's seeping in. Stephen paced. Lily napping upstairs. What if it hurts her? Alex cupped his face. We shield. And teach. They did family meetings with books on rainbows. Visits to Pride archives. Richard, overhearing on speakerphone, grumbled. Send him to me. I'll scare the prejudice out. Laughter bridged the miles. But the incident lingered. A thorn. Professionally. Zeniths and nadirs intertwined. Harrington's Green Initiative won accolades. Fast Company's Innovator of the Year, but competitors sabotaged, spreading rumors of greenwashing. Stephen testified before Congress. Suit crisp. Words forged in fire. Sustainability isn't trend. It's survival. Alex watched from the gallery. Lily on his lap. Pride radiating. Post-hearing. They celebrated in a DC bistro. Candlelight dancing. You slayed. Alex toasted. Richard joined via video. Kane propped. My boy's a senator yet. But homefront frayed. Lily's nightmares started. Monsters under beds. Born of playground taunts. Nights. Stephen rocked her. Humming lullabies Elena sang. Daddy's here. He'd whisper. Heart fracturing. Alex bore it quietly. But sketches turned somber, shadowed figures. Fractured bridges. One eve, he confronted Stephen in the studio. Brushes abandoned. We're drifting. Work's winning. Stephen deflated. I'm trying. Try harder. Hurt laced the plea. Therapy followed. Couples sessions in a sunlit office overlooking Gramercy Park. The counselor, a soft-spoken lesbian with wire rims. Unpacked layers, Stephen's fear of failure echoing Richard's old litany. Alex's abandonment scars flaring. Sessions peeled onions. Tears salting truths. We vowed forever. Alex said one day. Hands clasped. Fight for it. Stephen nodded. Daily. Renewal sparked. Weekly escapes. No phones. Just them. A weekend in the Adirondacks. Hiking peaks where eagles soared. Lily's whoops echoing. Richard babysat. Doting grandpa regaling with pirate tales. Back. Fortified. They faced the fray. At Lily's preschool open house, Stephen spoke to the director. Inclusion or we're out. Curriculum shifted. Books multiplied. Richard's health waned, subtly, tremors in hands once steady on deals. Checkups revealed Parkinson's shadow. Early. Doc said. Manageable. Stephen's world tilted. We'll handle it, he assured, mirroring Richard's old grit. Richard waved it off over chess in the park. Lily crowning pawns with dandelions. Life's check. Not mate. Play on. Alex painted a series, resilience portraits, Richard's lined face, Stephen's determined gaze, Lily's unscarred wonder. Gallery showing in Soho drew crowds. Richard hobbling the red carpet. Art's the real empire, he quipped to buyers. Sales soared. Funds to the foundation. Stephen's speech at the opening, from rejection's canvas to love's masterpiece. Thunderous applause. Alex's kiss backstage ceiling. Autumn harvest. Family pilgrimage to Elena's grave in Westchester, marble warmed by sun. Leaves carpeting paths. Lily placed a daisy. Chattering to Gamma. Richard knelt. Voice thick. Miss you. Love. But we're good. Stephen's arm around him. Alex with Lily. Circle unbroken. Winter's grip. Holiday lights a defiant glow. Lily's school play nativity with rainbow angels drew tears. Richard. Front row. Clapped loudest. New Year's Eve. Rooftop again. Fireworks burst. Lily asleep inside. Stephen and Alex slow danced. Richard toasting from a chair. To failures redeemed. Glasses chimed. Futures bright. Bright futures flicker. Tested by tempests unforeseen. Spring unfurled. Lily for now. Her world expanding to kindergarten additions and ballet slippers. Stephen balanced boardrooms and recitals. Alex's murals commissioned for city halls. Richard's tremors worsened. King constant. But spirit unbowed, weekly poker with old cronies. Bets and jelly beans for Lily's visits. Then, fracture. A class action suit against Harrington alleging discriminatory hiring pre-Stevens reforms. Plaintiffs, former employees. Ousted for fit. Code for queer or colored. Media frenzy. Headlines screaming Empire's closet. Stevens' presser was steel. Past sins demand reckoning. We're settling. Reforming deeper. Behind scenes. Anguish. Richard. In the office. Voice quavering. My fault. I built blind. Stephen knelt by his chair. We rebuild. Together. Alex anchored. But strain etched his face, galleries demanding. Lily's questions sharpening. Why do people hate us? She'd ask. Crayon in fist. Because fear's loud. Alex replied. Love's louder. Yet doubt crept. One night, after a deposition marathon, Stephen collapsed on the couch. Scotch in hand. Alex entered. Takeout bags heavy. Missed dinner. Again. Guilt surged. Trial's killing me. Us. The word hung. Argument erupted, voices rising. Lily stirring upstairs. You're choosing ghosts. Alex yelled. Legacy. Stephen shot back. Silence crashed. Alex stormed to the studio. Door slamming. Stephen followed. Apology dying on lips. Canvases slashed his portraits. Rent and rage. This is what you do to us. Tears mingled. I'm sorry. Terrified of losing it all. Alex sagged. Me too. But not each other. Dawn brought therapists again. Solo this time. Stephen unpacked the father's shadow. Success's siren call. I fear I'm him controlling. Blind. Growth sprouted, boundaries etched. Date nights enforced. Alex forgave. Slashes mended into abstract beauty sold as fractured fortitude. The suit settled millions to plaintiffs. Policies rewritten. Richard testified. Cane tapping. I failed them. My son redeems. Jury nodded. Verdict swift. Summer solace. Cape Cod escape. Rented cottage on dunes. Lily built sandcastles. Richard napped in hammocks. Stephen and Alex kayaking at sunset. Paddles dipping syncopated. Remember our first storm? Alex murmured. Waves lapping. Stephen smiled. You pulled me through. Always. Lily's 5th birthday, zoo outing. Giraffes towering like gentle giants. Richard fed peanuts. Lily squeals pure joy. Best grandpa. She declared. His eyes misted. Best everything. Fall foliage tore Berkshire's drive. Leaves aflame. Richard shared untold stories. Elena's laugh. Post-war dances. Love was my anchor. You found yours. Stephen gripped the wheel. Thanks to you. Thanksgiving. Loft feast, turkey carved. Toasts to Elena. Lily's prayer, for Dadas and Papa. And no more monsters. Heart swelled. Winter wonder, ice skating at Rockefeller. Lily wobbling between hands. Richard, steadying her. Twirled tentative. Laughter rang. Bells tolling midnight mass. Christmas morn. Lily's eyes wide at presents. Richard's gift, Elena's locket. Engraved unfailing. For Lily. Where her heart. She hugged fierce. Chain glinting. New Year's. Intimate, just family. Balcony fireworks. Stephen proposed a pact, one truth a year. No holding back. Richard started, I love you. Son. Gay. Straight irrelevant. You. Alex next, grateful every dawn. Lily, love you biggest. Circle spun. Spring renewal, Lily's kindergarten play superhero tale. Her cape rainbow. Parents cheered. Bigots silent. Harrington's anniversary gala, Richard keynote. Voice steady. From failure's forge to family's fire. Standing ovation. Stephen and Alex on stage. Lily waving. Life's arc bent toward light. Light bends. But darkness probes cracks. Lily's kindergarten year unfolded with alphabet songs and art projects. Her drawings a riot of colors, 2 Dadas holding hands. Papa with cane and crown. Stephen cherished them, tacking to office walls amid blueprints. But Parkinson's progressed for Richard, balance faltering. Words stumbling. Homemaids arrived. A Midwestern nurse named Clara with warm pies and wry jokes. Stubborn as my pa. She'd tease when he resisted. Stephen visited daily post-work. Alex alternating with Lily's bedtime duties. One afternoon, finding Richard slumped in his armchair. Gaze distant on the Hudson. Stephen knelt. Talk to me. Richard's hand trembled in his. Slipping. Son. Empire. You hold it. Always. Throat tight. But you're the rock. Richard's chuckle rasped. Rocks erode. Rivers carve. Alex arrived with soup. Lily trailing with a finger-painted card, Super Papa. Richard's eyes lit. Frailty forgotten. Evenings. Stephen and Alex debriefed over wine. Lily asleep. He's fading. Stephen whispered. Alex pulled him close. We're here. All of us. Challenges compounded. A cyber breach at Harrington data stolen. Rivals gloating. Stephen marshaled IT warriors. Nights in war rooms. Code scrolling like hieroglyphs. Alex supported. But resentment simmered. Lily's school concert missed. Her disappointment a dagger. You're absent. Alex confronted post-breach. Kitchen clock ticking accusations. Protecting us. Stephen snapped. From what? Phantoms. Words wounded. Stephen retreated to the balcony. City in indifferent sprawl. Alex joined. Apology in his stance. I know. Just. Scared. Embrace followed. Tears salting. Me too. Balance promise. They recalibrated, shared calendars. Alex joining breach meetings. His fresh eyes spotting oversights. Hack traced to overseas. Neutralized. Press hailed Harrington's digital fortress. Richard. Hearing. Grin from bed. My hackers. Lily's 6th birthday, circus theme. Clowns juggling. Richard in ringmaster hat. Kana's prop. Ladies and germs. He boomed. Crowd roaring. Fall harvest. Apple picking in Hudson Valley. Baskets brimming. Richard rode the hay wagon. Lily on lap. Wind tousling. Like old days. He murmured to Stephen. Better. Stephen replied. With love. Thanksgiving storm, power out. Candles flickering. Stories by fire Richard's war. Alex's art school escapades. Lily's monster hunts. Laughter defied dark. Winter's bite, Richard's first fall. Hip fracturing. Hospital hush. Surgery lights glaring. Stephen paced halls. Alex with Lily coloring get-well cards. Recovery slow rehab in Florida sun. Stephen flying south weekends. Miss the snow. Richard griped from poolside. Miss you. Stephen countered. Alex stayed north. Holding home fort. Video calls bridged Lily's dances. Alex's new mural unveilings. Spring thaw, Richard home. Walker clicking. Harrington's Earth Day Expo solar demos. Alex's eco-art centerpiece. Richard wheeled on stage. Stephen pushing. Green today. Gold tomorrow. Crowd applauded. Lily waving from wings. Summer idol, Montauk Beach House. Waves therapy. Richard swam laps. Defiant. Lily buried him in sand. Sand King. Evenings. Bonfires, marshmallows toasting. Tails spinning. Once. I called you failure. Richard said to Stephen. Embers glowing. Worst day? Stephen poked the fire. Best lesson. Alex added wood. Redemption's art. Lily yawned. Happy ending. Writing it. Stephen promised. Fall Symphony, Lily's school orchestra. Violin squeaks charming. Richard attended. Earplugs discreet. Future maestro. Thanksgiving redux, Clara's pies. Elena's recipes. Richard carved turkey. Knife steady. Gratitude's feast. Winter solstice, lights strung. Lily's choir caroling. Richard joined. Baritone rumbling off-key. Joy and discord. New Year's dawn, family hike in Palisades. Frost crunching. Richard leaned on Stephen. Breath clouds mingling. Full circle. Alex snapped photo for silhouettes against sunrise. Life's melody. Harmonious. Harmonies harmonize. But solos pierce. Richard's decline accelerated voice fading. Mobility chained to chair. Hospice talks loomed. Unspoken. Stephen hired specialists. Grasping at protocols. But time's tide unrelenting. Lily sensed. Drawing somber, Papa with wings. He flying soon. She asked. Crayon paused. Alex fielded gently. To stars. Maybe. But hearts stay. Stephen crumbled privately, board meetings blurred. Decisions delegated. Alex found him in the study one dawn. Head bowed over Richard's old ledger. Can't fix this. Stephen choked. Alex knelt. Don't. Be. They leaned on each other. Lily's hugs glue. Visits to Richard, penthouse adapted. Views eternal. He devoured Lily's stories. Eyes alight. Read again. Sprite. Her voice piped, dragons and daddies. One spring day. Cherry blossoms shedding. Richard gathered them on the balcony. Wind gentle. City hum distant. Time for truths. He rasped. Hand in Stephen's. Rest. Dad. No. Listen. Pause. Breath labored. Proud. Of you. The man. The love. Save me. Stephen's tears fell. You us. To Alex, kept him whole. Thank you. Alex squeezed. Family. To Lily, shine. Girl. Love fierce. She kissed his cheek. Promise. Weeks blurred, good days picnics. Bad morphine hazes. Stephen read business journals aloud. Richard critiquing faintly. Sell that stock. Buy hearts. Laughter fragile. Harrington milestone, 75th anniversary. Virtual gala. Stephen helmed. Richard cameo screen flickering his smile. Legacy lives. He whispered off mic. Donations Pareto Foundation. Elena's wing at a youth center. Summer wane. Richard weakened. Bedside vigils, Stephen holding hand. Alex strumming guitar softly. Lily drawing nearby. Eclipse night. Sky blackened. Richard rallied. See. Dark passes. Dawn broke. But he slipped. Final eve. Monitors beeping dirge. Stephen. Eyes locked. Failure. Never. Hero. Breath stilled. Grief tsunami funeral rain lashed. Street. Patrick's overflowing. Eulogies, Stephen's voice steady. He signed over more than company his heart. Taught acceptance. Late but true. Alex's arm anchor. Lily's hand small in his. Aftermath, penthouse echoey. Ledger's dust. Stephen wandered rooms. Ghost kind. Lily asked, Papa stars now? Yes. Brightest. Fall healing, foundation expansion. Richard Harrington scholarships. Alex's mural, father-son bridge. Rainbow span. Winter quiet, holidays hushed. Elena's locket on tree. Toasts to absent, to signatures eternal. New Year's. Balcony snow dusted. Stephen and Alex danced slow. Lily twirling. He'd approve. Alex murmured. Beaming. Spring bloom, Lily's first recital. Violin trilling. Empty seat for Richard. But presence palpable. Summer solstice, beach remembrance. Lantern lit. Love's light. Stephen said. Releasing to waves. Lily watched. Wise beyond. He happy. Fall harvest, apples crisp. Baskets full. Stephen bit one. Juice sweet. Full circle. Life seasons. Enduring.